I have been waiting for this tarot deck. Inspired by vintage fairy core, the Flower Child Tarot is dreamy, colorful, and fun. This deck is created by Instagram artist Kira Cyan and published by Page Street Publishing in December 2024. This is a perfect tarot deck for someone who knows or is learning the Rider-Waite-Smith tarot deck because the cards follow the RWS deck quite well. They just have a more whimsical, colorful spin, plus a lot of frogs. Now, I've been following Kira on Instagram for quite a while, and I've been a huge fan of her artwork, so when I saw she was releasing this tarot deck, I was so excited, and I knew that it was going to be one that I was adding to my collection. I mean, just look at how adorable this deck is. If you know me and you know my style, you know I love color, I love cartoonish vibes, like I just love this. The cardstock in this deck is a really nice, thick, high quality material, which makes it feel super durable and substantial. The artwork on each card is gorgeous, it's vibrant with thick lines and almost a cartoonish design, which makes it feel so whimsical, fun, and psychedelic. And this art style is so interesting because while it feels modern in a lot of ways, it simultaneously has a very 70s retro flower power inspired vibe to it. In the guidebook, the deck creator says that although she's owned a tarot deck for a while, she was never a professional tarot reader, and she recognizes that learning tarot is a really big undertaking and wants this deck to feel really accessible and one that is actually used, not just collecting dust. Now, even though she says she hasn't been like a lifelong tarot student or a professional reader, the guidebook for this deck is really very wonderful. I was really shocked and impressed and very happy with it. I love that each of the cards in the deck are described in detail in the guidebook, and it explores why the deck creator chose each design in the cards. That detail is something I find lacks in so many tarot decks. I mean, of course, it's not a requirement that an artist explains their thought process, and why they selected or drew something, but I just love when they do add that type of information because it makes the deck a learning tool, not just a divinatory tool that, we have to figure out on our own. Having that little bit more insight as to why they selected certain things, it just makes it feel so much more intentional. And not only that, but it obviously helps us have better tarot experiences. It helps us understand symbolism, and we can use an artist's description as to why they chose something or what it might mean in other decks, in other practices, and other divination methods. And it's funny because that detail seems like something very easy and obvious. I mean, you created the deck, you should know exactly why you selected each little detail in all of the cards, and it should be, you'd think, easy to explain that in the guidebook, but so many decks don't include that type of information. So when I saw that in this guidebook, I was really, really impressed and so happy. And I think that just makes this deck even better to understand why the deck creator chose the small details, what they mean to her, and I love it. It's awesome. The guidebook also includes an upright and reversed explanation of each card. So as I said, I think this tarot deck would be great for someone who is starting out in tarot, especially if you have a minimal understanding of the Rider-Waite-Smith or no prior tarot knowledge. I think this would be a really great deck to work with. I'm of the opinion that every beginner should really start with the classic Rider-Waite-Smith tarot deck just to help them learn the quote-unquote proper method of reading tarot and how it's intended. But if someone found that deck boring or wanted to grow their collection, this is such a great option, especially because the guidebook also gives you a lot. And with that said, of course, this tarot deck is not only for beginners. I think that this deck is for anyone that resonates with the artwork or that wants something fun and mystical and very light and airy in their collection. It's certainly a deck that I'm going to be using in my own practice, and I haven't decided yet if I'm going to use this deck with clients or if I'm going to keep it all to myself. I typically use decks on my own for a while before deciding if I want to use them with clients. I like to use them on myself for predictive readings, for shadow work, for honestly everything, and just make sure that I really, really resonate with the deck before I use it with a client. But based on the artwork of this one, how accessible it is, how there's a bunch of different bodies and colors, I could definitely see myself using this one with clients, potentially. I just haven't tested it out yet, so I'm not 100% sure, but I know for sure I'll be using it in my own private practice. Let me know what you think about this tarot deck. I know it's not for everyone, but I'm really curious what you think of this one. Purchase or pass?